Alright guys, today we're going to look a little more at using the NetBeans Designer and the Swing library. So we're going to carry on with the concepts that we did. Let's start another new one. We're going to make this one pretty easy to begin with, and then we're going to do a few things to it to make it easier to use. So what we need to do, go ahead and launch NetBeans, make a new project, but don't add a main class because we're going to insert another frame-based dialog. And if you have a main class, you'll probably just have to go and remove it, or at least go into the settings and set a new main class. There's other ways you can do it, but anyways, so File, New, Project, Java, Application. I'm going to call mine GUI2, Graphical User Interface 2. Deselect the Create Main Class. You don't want to create a main class. Instead, you want to go to your project and then the source package, or if you feel like making another package underneath that, right-click New JFrame Form. I guess I didn't mention that if you don't even see that at all, you clicked Other, but hopefully you found it. I'm going to leave the name of it JFrame, but we could always change that. Okay, this one's going to be really simple. We're just going to put a little text box on the screen, and we're going to put numbers in it and a button to add it. So then we need a text area underneath it, and we're going to put a button that would clear the text. So text field 1, I'm going to edit the text to just put a 0 there. They have to type in a number. But one of the things we're going to do is make it that after they click the button, it jumps back and lets them fill that field in again without them having to click. So we're going to rename the text of the J button, edit text, to say add. We're going to edit the text of J button 2 to say clear. Just stick that underneath our results or something like that. You know, we could fancy it up with a label. For fun, let's take the panel. Let's make a panel to contain our area, our text area. So drop a panel from the Swing containers and then change its background or its border so it's really visible. I'm going to do a bevel border, so I just went to the properties, selected the 3 dots there next to the border properties, set a border on it. Then I'm going to select the text area, cut it, paste it into the panel, and the same for the clear button. Cut it, paste it into the panel. Come on. The little manager's annoying. Alrighty. Okay, so we have a panel. That's enough. I'm not going to bother, putting this thing in a panel too. So we're going to make the add button do something very similar to the other one. We're going to write some kind of log function again that's going to put the number, the running tally down here. So if we think about it, in order to do a running tally, we're going to need an instance member in our class, instance variable in our main class, in order to keep track of the numbers that we're adding. So let's do that first. Let's go to source, and inside the new frame class, or whatever you called it, and you could put it above the main method, you could put it below it, you can put it right at the top. That's where I'd rather put it. Doesn't matter if it's private or public, really. Gonna leave off the. All right. So, let's make them ints again. Int total is equal to 0. We know we're going to need a log function. So, void log if we're just adding numbers to it, we could just pass in the number. As a matter of fact, we could take what we're adding based on the total. But what are you going to do that? Yeah, why don't we just take it based on the total? Make it as simple as possible. Okay, so log with no parameters. We need to extract the text from the text area, convert the total to a string and add it to it. So again, string text is equal to this dot j text area 1 dot get text. Great. Now let's add our new total to it. Text equals, or text plus equals the total plus a backslash n, like that. We can make it a little bit more complex, right? Text equals, parentheses, quote, total equals, end quote, plus total, plus backslash n, parentheses. And would that have been better served with a string.format? Yeah, probably.
What would be the difference between a string builder and string.format, I guess?
Alright guys, thanks to a Professor Brain glitch, stopped the recording, didn't resume it. So I think I've reset it back to where we were. But let's make absolutely sure. One of the things that I want us to do is to have this field have a default value of 0. So edit the text, change its default value to 0, and then change its variable name to jtext_input. I think that's good enough. So, let's make the add button work. I'm going to double click add. What do we need to do? We need to get the text out of the string field, out of the use get text to extract the string, convert it to an int, add it to our total. Let's make sure that I have the log function working the way that you want. Okay. So here's what we made our log function look like. And there's a reset function here that I haven't had you type in. What the log function does is it extracts string text equals this.jtextarea1.getText. Next line, text plus equals, and we could use string format here, parentheses, quote, total equals, end quote, plus total, plus, quote, backslash n, parentheses, semicolon. In the third line, we reset that text. We set the text for the text area. So this.jtextarea1 dot set text, parentheses, text. That should be our log function. Pause it if you need to type it in, compile it, make sure it works. Or not that it works, just make sure it compiles without error. Then we added a reset method, which I'm going to rewrite again. What we want reset to do is we want it to clear out the text area, we want it to clear out our input field, and we want to reset the total equal to 0. So this dot total is equal to 0. Now let's clear out the text area. This dot jtext area 1 dot clear, we ought to give that a better name, not clear, dot set text, but set it to an empty string, parentheses, double quote, parentheses, semicolon, and do the same thing for the input field, except don't put a space in there. I mean empty, we're going to want to put a 0 there, or a 1, or whatever you think the default value ought to be. This dot jtext underscore input. And if you renamed it, you'll see it called input. If you don't, it'll say JText field 1. Either way, dot set text, and let's set it equal to a 0. All right, so we have two functions. Let's make the clear button call reset. So I'm going to go back to the designer, double click the clear button, and it calls this dot reset. So inside the clear action performed, this dot reset. We could test that out really fast. Make sure it compiles, hammer and broom it, run it, type in something here. The add button's not enabled. Type in something here, click clear, it resets that one to 0 and wipes this one out. I'm satisfied with the clear action. So now we need to go back here to our designer and add the text, add an event handler, add a method for the add button. So double click that. It's not letting me go into it. There we go. J button 1 action performed. Maybe I shouldn't have called it, J button 1. Maybe I should have called it, J button underscore add. That would have been a better idea. I'm going to leave it as is. Put a comment here, add button. So let's get the text out. String text is equal to this dot J text in underscore input dot get text. So this dot J text underscore input, or whatever your input field is called, dot get text. Now since the format conversion might fail, I'm going to try and catch. Try this stuff, catch a number format exception. If we get an error, we want to display a pop-up message saying bad format. We're going to call that a message box. We'll come back and fill that code in. So we have our text. Let's try converting it. Int I is equal to integer dot, parse int the text. So integer dot parse int parentheses text in parentheses semicolon. Now let's add it to our total. This dot total plus equals, I, and let's log where we are right now. This dot log. At this point, I think we have working code. It doesn't handle errors, but at least it doesn't crash on them. Hammer and broom, run it. I'm going to type in 100, click add, our total is 100. I'm going to type in 2, add, our total is 102. I'm going to clear everything. It resets that back to 0. It wipes out our log. Let's type in 300, and we're back down to 300, just like a clear button on a calculator. Okay. So a couple more things we want to do. We want to make it so that if you click a button, it goes back in and puts your cursor here. Right? Because right now, if we click add, it takes the cursor away. We want to move the cursor back there. It'd be even niftier if when it moved the cursor back here, it selected all that text. Let's see if we can get that to work. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to get that to work without a little bit of research. But really, the first thing I want to do is add the error message for bad format. Right now it's just not doing anything. We could log it like we did last time, but we just want to display a pop-up message. So we want to add what's known as a message dialog. Some programming environments call it a message box. It pops up if they type in something bad. So something like string message is equal to quote, or text plus quote is not valid, or is not a number, is not a whole number. Tell them exactly what's wrong. All right, now we're going to make a call to another class called JOptionFrame. JOptionFrame. And it's already complaining that we don't have this class. So I'm just going to sneakily come over here and add the import for it. I click the red arrow. Oh, you're not going to let me click the red arrow? Okay. Scroll up. Oh, looks like I'd already added it in the past. I'm going to delete that adding of it. Come back down here. Alrighty. Really now. Alrighty, I'll show you the import to add. How about that? If you can't get that to work, if you can't click on the red arrow and get it to work, come to the top and add import space javax, all lowercase, .swing, .j option pane. And I'm wondering if we could delete all of that and just make it J option pane. Let's see if that works. Nope. Okay. So import javax, all lowercase, .swing, .j, capital J, O, capital O, option pane with a capital P. Then go back down to our number format exception catch. So J option frame dot, and it's not popping up my list of things. Alrighty, it's J option pane, excuse me. J option pane dot show, and there's all sorts of dialogues. Confirm dialog, input dialog, internal message dialog. I'm just going to use message dialog. So show J option pane dot show message dialog, parentheses this dot, and then our message, like that. This being the frame that we're currently in. It ties the message dialog to the text. I wonder if you can leave that out.
Is it this dot text or?
No, it's not this dot text because it's this comma text. This is a frame reference, and this is our text that we want to set. So that's a comma there. Let's run it. Green arrow it. Type in some garbage. Click add. Okay, great. It's not showing me the is not a whole number. Oh, that's because I was supposed to print out message and not the text. The text is actually what's in the field. So, J option pane, show message dialog, parentheses this, comma, message. Hammer and broom it, run it, type some stuff, click there, it says that is not a whole number. Now we could make this a better error message. We could change the icon to an error icon. We could give it a better title than that. There's all sorts of things you can do. Just Google up show message dialog or check the Java docs on it. We'll find other things we can do, like a title and a message type. So let's put a title to our bar. So this, comma, message, comma, input error. He's not liking that.
You have three parameters. I don't know which.
So it's wanting an int after the string, which is going to be a message type. Let's go look at the Java doc again. Show Java doc. I said show Java doc. Here's the different kinds of message types, like error message. So you could leave the title off, but if you have the title, you have to set the message type as well. Interesting that it doesn't have a default value if you set the title. Not sure why. Okay, so this comma, message, comma, quote, input error, end quote, comma, and then our error message type. It doesn't know what error message is. Look once more at the Java type. If this doesn't work, I'm going to stop pursuing that. And first you don't succeed, you Google it.
No, I'm looking for designs and
Maybe it's in J option pane. That would make sense. So, J option pane dot error underscore message. There we go. All right, pause it if you need to type it in. I'm going to run it, make sure it works. We click it, we type in something, we click add. I'm going to type in something bad, click add, and there, that actually looks like an error message. That'll put fear into their hearts. Is not a whole number, input error, very good. I'm getting happier with my application. I really do want to make the add button reset our cursor. That's known as the focus. We want to set the focus to that. What we're going to do is after they click the add button, go and find your add button method. Double click on add. And here, after, at the bottom, I guess we were already on it, right? After the number format exception, we're going to do this dot, and what's our input field called? J text underscore input, or whatever you left that, dot request focus. Request focus, capital F. So as soon as we click the add button, it's going to do all this stuff, and then that input field is going to request the focus, which means the cursor should jump back to it. Let's see if that works. Hammer and broom, green arrow, type in something, click add, and it puts the cursor back there. And it puts the cursor at the end of the text. That's not too bad. They could backspace over it. Maybe it'd be neater if it highlighted the whole text so that they could just, click add and then not have to move the cursor, delete or whatever. Let's see if we can make it select all the text in the input field. So this dot J text underscore input dot, let's see if we find something that refers to the selected text. Whoa. Whoa. More than I wanted to see. Way more than I wanted to see. How about we just look up the JText field type in the Java doc. So I'm going to right click on JText field, show Java doc. No, that's not going to work. Navigate to declaration. Then I'm going to highlight JText field, show Java doc. You don't have to do this. I'm going to give you the answer, but I know that you want to know how to do it. And so here's our text field. Let's see if there's a way to change the selected text. Get the selected text. That'd be cool. What else? Set the selected text color. I saw it. Set selection start and set selection end. What's that going to do? Set selection start. Sets the selection start to the specified position. The new starting point is constrained to be before or at the current selection end. Yeah, it'd be nice if there was an example, so I'm going to Google that. Just right click on that, search Google for set selection start. Follow an example, 0. And then select end text.length. Okay, that's pretty cool. You just say, okay, which character do I want to start at the highlighted? Which character do I want to end at the highlighted, which is equal to text.length. We can do that. That's pretty cool. So, go back to where we were. Our good old add button again. Going back to designer, double clicking on add. So after we request a focus, or even before, J text underscore input dot set selected text. That didn't work. Sneak a peek.
Says selection start.
Selection start, that's right. So, dot set selection start. We want to start selecting at 0, and we want to select all the way out to the end. Now, we already know the end of the selected text because we extracted it way up here, right? It was the first thing we did. Text is equal to get text, so we know the length of it. This dot j text underscore input dot set selection end parentheses the length of the text, so text dot length parentheses in parentheses, and then one more parentheses for the end of the method.
The default
So we run it, we click green arrow, we add a 0, and then check it out. It's selected. So we could type in another number, click 0, we could type in another number, we could type in another number. See how much faster this is now? Now the ultimate inconvenience is if we make it to where you can type something in and then hit return and it adds it. What we're going to have to do is add an event for hitting enter on this, hitting the return key on it, that invokes the add button method. Let's see how easy that is. I am taping, right? Yep, okay. Go to design, I'm going to select the text field, I'm going to come look at the events. Is one of these something as simple as, well, there's key pressed. That might work. It's probably going to be key pressed. But we need to figure out which key is going to be the, the enter key. All right, as always, there's more than one way to do it. So I've Googled it. I see a couple of suggestions. None of them are really what I want to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to click this field and go to key pressed and make a new method for it. So I'm going to select JText input key pressed. Now let's see if we could extract which key was pressed. EVT dot get key code. So if parentheses EVT dot get key code equals key code dot, nope, yep, did that work? Here's all of our keys. I wonder if accept would work. Enter. Enter is surely going to work. Okay, so take a look at that. I hope it works. Well, we've already got an error message. Bad operand types. The first type is an int. The second is an. This is returning an int, but it says get key code. That is apparently an integer. I'm going to go look at my cheat again. Key event. All right, we can do that. So I'm deleting that. Key event dot vk underscore enter. I'm going to cry. Cannot find symbol. Okay, let's see if that's a clad. Okay, we're going to add an import for java.event key event. There we go. Looks like we're good to go. So if they type in any key, we're going to check to see if it's the enter key. And if it is, we're going to invoke the add method. This dot, we need to find the name of our add method. I've forgotten it. I'm going to look up here. J button 1 action performed. Alrighty. This dot J button 1 action performed. Now it's complaining that this is the wrong kind of event because this is a key event and this is a Java event. So I'm going to just pass in null and it's actually going to work. Why do I know that? Because this is the event that the Java framework passes in. I'm scrolling back up to JAction performed. But we're not querying it. Nowhere in this code are we calling evt.whatever. So it's safe to pass it in as null. Here we are using the event that's being passed in. So if we wrote something that called this method directly and passed in null, it wouldn't work. We'd get a null, null exception when we tried to get the key code out of it. Okay, let's put a comment here because this is pretty cryptic. Invoke the add button handler. And let's put a comment here.
When I do that, it changes my J, like the ones above it, so it says cannot find when I call that.
All right, let me see if I've broken all this. All right, working for me. It's not working for Adrian, so let me pause it. I'm going to leave this method on the screen here. Let me hit enter there. Hope you saw how I can't. Hope you saw how I added it. I was in the designer. I selected the text field. I went to events. I found the method called keyPressed. I pulled down on the little arrow there. I selected its default name for the keyPressed method. It created a method that I then got to fill in with this code. All right, so we have it working for everybody here. I hope it's working for you. If you get stuck, you could text me and ask me for help, or you could just upload what you have, and I am going to give you credit for it anyways, but I hope you got it to work. And I hope that this makes some kind of sense. I know that it doesn't make total amount of sense, but I hope that following these things, you've gotten the idea of event handlers. We've added several event handlers. We added one for J button 1 action performed, the add button. We added another one for the clear button, and then we just added a third so that every time they type something, we check to see if the input key is pressed. Is that the most efficient way to handle that particular problem? I don't think so, because it's being invoked every time they type something.
I think we need to edit so they can't edit the log thing again.
Oh yeah, let's change it so that the log cannot be
I
changed.
was using tab to go through everything, but then it got stuck in the login thing.
Okay, so yeah, let's change the log. Come down here, and one of the very top property is editable. Change that, and we're good to go. And on Windows, but not Mac, you can tab through the interface. Well, I can't say that. Maybe it works on a Mac. I just haven't tried it. You can select your button by hitting the tab key and then hitting enter on it. Well, that didn't work. That's not selecting clicking it. Okay, well anyways. If I was in that text field and I hit enter, but I typed in garbage, it'd pop up my error. And it'd give me the chance to fix it. Okay, I think that's a useful little app. We've seen how to reset the focus. We've seen how to change, the selected text. Hope that's pretty interesting. Obviously, there's a lot more to learn. So you're going to want to Google up and find tutorials about how to create more complex user interfaces. But once you get the idea, you can keep building on that. Wish we'd had time to add, a button group. Maybe we'll do that in the next lecture.
I can watch the end of the lecture if you want to do that.
Nah, I think we really are done with this one. The more complex I make it, the more likely that somebody makes a mistake along the way and can't continue. Okay. All right, so we'll stop there. Hope this was interesting and educational.
education.